I'm sitting on my couch, sitting in my chair, my gaming chair. I don't remember where I was at. I'm watching an episode of the Street Alpha podcast. And on there is Dan Rue and Boosted Lucky. And Dan Rue's all about the road racing. Boosted Lucky's talking about the dig racing. So it got me thinking, which one's better? Is road racing better than dig racing? Which one is better? Is road racing better than dig racing? Or is dig racing better than road racing? Today we're going to talk about that. Welcome back to the 4th episode of Car Talk with JRG, where we talk about car topics in the community, ongoing debates, and all types of different stuff. I don't know yet. We're talking about dig racing, street race, we're talking about dig racing, road racing. We're only talking about on the track. So I thought to myself, how could I really see which one is better? With the emergence of draggy the past couple of years, road racing is really popular. Road racing has been around probably for a long time, but dig racing that's always been a measuring stick, right? Let's go through the pros and cons. Those guys that are going to road race, right, it's going to be easier to road race. It's going to be a lot easier. It's easier to get into. I can road race. I'm sitting in my MDX right now. I can road race anybody, like, if I wanted to. Like, it doesn't really take too much, right? You line up next to somebody, you give it 3 honks, or you give them a 1, 2, 3, or somebody, you get the passenger to yell out on the side, the 1, 2, 3, whatever, and you get going. Road racing, the biggest pro I think of road racing is you're not going to break as much as you would dig racing. Doing rolls, again, you're already rolling, so there's not really too much issues with traction for most cars. And for as far as rear wheel drive to all wheel drive, you kind of even it out there. You kind of take the advantage away from all wheel drive cars because you're both already rolling. There is no launching advantage at this point. Maybe a little bit, but all wheel drive cars are usually heavier than rear wheel drive cars, so you kind of even it out. Same thing with manual versus auto cars. You don't really got to worry about the launch too much with traction or anything like that. So, you got it in gear already. You're already in a good gear. You kind of smash and go. It's kind of an equalizer in the racing world, kind of in a way. All in all, road racing is more about whose car is really faster, which car is more powerful most of the time. Now, the setup does have something to do with it. Gearing, power to weight, stuff like that can have an effect on it. But most of the time, it's about the car, whose car is faster. Now, when it comes to dig racing, it's all about the setup, right? It's about the tire. It's about, and dig racing, for those who don't know, dig racing is from a dead stop. It's all about the tire, the traction, the gearing, the tuning, the setup, the power, the weight, the driver. It's really about the driver most of the time with dig racing. So a lot of the times when you're dig racing, you could be a car that's a little underpowered compared to another car, and you can still win based off of reaction time, just better traction, things like that. You've seen, I'm sure most of y'all seen, full bolt-on 10-speed Mustangs walk Hellcats with half the power, and it's because of the setup. It's because, the transmission, the tuning, gearing, all that good stuff. Traction, weight, all that stuff. Where the race starts and ends. So on a dig race, you're going off a light, or you're going off a person. If you're street racing or whatever, you're going off a hand wave, anything like that. You know when the race is starting, and you know when the race is ending. You race to the quarter, you race to the eighth. You give a specific set goal. You go from here to there, and the race is over. Whoever get the here to there first, it's over. Another good thing about dig racing, you can give better handicaps. You could do something like, if a car thinks that you're faster than them, or you got a little something on them, you can give them a couple of cars to start off with. You could, or if they think they're a lot faster than worth your time, whatever. Let's make it interesting. Like my man Steve say, give me 2 cars and come get me. But whatever, either way, if you're going for dig racing, it's kind of more of an equalizer as well, same way like road racing, but it's really kind of hard to say. Now let's get into the cons of both. If If you're road racing, off the rip, everybody gonna tell you you can't drive. You cannot drive. You're scared to race a real man's race. You can't drive. You don't know how to launch your car. Whatever it may be, you're gonna get all that when it comes to road racing because, in a sense, sometimes that's true. Sometimes that is true for a lot of people. A lot of guys, they are scared to go from a stop. Other kind of road racing, you're going at a lot higher speeds most of the time, so it is a little more dangerous, especially if you're doing it on the street and you're in crowded traffic and stuff like that. In those situations, I'm not going to get too much into like all that good stuff, but at times if it's a close road race, you don't really know when it ends. Like you could say, all right, let's race from 60 to 140, whatever you're racing, but do you really know when the guy next to you got the 140? You really don't know. And sometimes you can keep going until it's really till one person lets off. Sometimes if it's a close race, now if you're gapping somebody, you throw the hazards on, it's over. You know what I mean? But besides that, if it's close, you don't really know when the race is over. You really want to be competitive with a lot of guys. The kings of the road racing scene are usually like Vipers and GTRs and Lambos, twin turbo stuff, not just stock, twin turbo Lambos, twin turbo Vipers and stuff like that. Vets get in there, the Mustangs, we get in there. But you're spending a lot of money to get to these setups. And I don't know, it's people lie, especially when it comes to street stuff. A lot of people lie. And a lot of times you end up matched up with a car that has a lot more power than you, or a lot of road racing isn't always as equal. Moving on to the dig racing and cons of dig racing, the biggest thing, just like Dan Rue was saying, you break stuff. You break a lot more stuff dig racing. No ifs, ands, or buts. You're going to break a lot more. There's a lot more drivetrain shock. There's a lot more, trying to get things together. As far as traction goes, wheel hop, you just break stuff. Transmissions goes, it just is what it is. You're going to spend a lot of money dig racing too, just like you would roll racing. Now with dig racing, you get a little more brackets, especially if you're racing at the track or anything like that. Just like I'm sure they do it with roll racing, but people be lying. Brackets to kind of keep in your class. You kind of stay with your people, your speed. But a lot of the times the big thing is you're going to spend money because stuff is breaking, even if your setup isn't super expensive, and then you're going to have to put that money to make your setup expensive, and then you're going to want more power because then it's just a never-ending cycle. You're just going to keep putting money in. It's racing period, but that's just how it go. Dig racing, they going to tell you can't drive too. It's just you can't drive. We just can't all drive. If you can't get a good launch, sometimes if you lose a couple races, they're going to say you can't drive. It is what it is. There's really no way around it. No matter if you race or not, you lose, it was your fault. All in all, if I had to come together and really say which one was better, it's kind of hard to really say which one is better per se. If you roll racing, it's really about whose car is faster, who has the more powerful car. That's kind of what it comes down to most of the time. Dig racing is about the car and the driver. If you want to say you're a good driver, this is just me. This is coming from me. If you want to say you're a good driver, you got to do more dig racing because there's a lot more variables to where you could mess up. Yeah, there's variables to where your person can mess up. But when it comes to rolls, the air is kind of taken away. You're kind of just, especially if you got auto, you're just mashing the gas and you're going. At least if you have an auto and you're dig racing, you got to worry about traction. You got to get the right launch. There's a lot of different things that go into it. Me personally, if I had to say which one is better between dig and roll racing, I don't know. I like roll racing. I'm not gonna lie, I do like the roll. It's like I said, it's a lot easier, a lot easier to get into. You break a lot less stuff. But dig racing is kind of like, I think dig is like where you really get your props. Like if you got a fast 6130 car, people won't think you just got money. Like you got money, or you got like a cheat code car, like a 340 or a TTRS, or or a 10-speed turbo 10-speed Mustang, stuff like that. They're gonna think you just, but you run an 8 at the strip, it used to be 9s back in the day, but you were like an 8 at the strip, I'll even give you a 9. You were a 9 or an 8 at the strip, they gonna look at you like, that car fast and he can drive. That's all I really got for today. Just something I wanted to touch on briefly. This video is probably longer than what I meant to make it. Just something I wanted to touch on. If you enjoy these videos, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Give me more topics in the comments. Usually that's where I get these topics from, is in the comments. And give me your opinion in the comments. Do you think road racing is better than dig racing, or dig racing is better than road racing? Why? That's all I got. Again, I'll see you in the next one.